I spent every night dreaming of a man who didn't know I existed until he was wheeled into my ER, dying. Welcome to BL Stories by K, your home for original high-tension audio dramas. I'm so happy to have you here. Before we begin, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Now let's dive into the story for today. My bedside drawer has a false bottom. It's a pathetic cliché for a man with a medical degree, but it's the only place where the real me exists. I pull out the latest clipping from the County Gazette. The paper is crisp, the ink still smelling faintly of the press. I am looking at him, Caleb. He's standing in front of a scorched warehouse, soot smudged across a jawline so sharp it looks like carved from granite. He's smiling, that effortless, heroic smile that makes the whole county feel safe. I trace the line of his shoulder through the newsprint. My chest tightens. My skin feels 2 sizes too small. I know his stats better than his own mother does. 6'2", 210 pounds of sheer, selfless muscle, type O positive blood, no known allergies, left-handed, allergic to penicillin. Wait, no, that was in an interview 3 years ago where he clarified he had no allergies. I'd corrected my mental file immediately. The folder on my laptop is labeled Research Trauma Cases. It contains 247 images of Caleb Vance, newspaper photos, social media screenshots I'd saved before he made his account private, a shaky video someone posted of him carrying a child out of a burning apartment building, his face streaked with ash, his eyes fierce with determination. I close my eyes, and the newsprint transforms into something more vivid. I am dreaming of him again, the same dream that's haunted me for 2 years. Those heavy, bunker-clad arms pinning me against cold tile, the smell of smoke on his skin, the heat radiating off him like a furnace. In my head, he isn't the county's hero, he's mine. He knows my name. He whispers it against my throat. His calloused hands map the geography of my body with the same courage she shows running into burning buildings. I wake up with my heart hammering and my sheets damp, gasping his name into the empty air of my apartment. It's a sickness, and as a doctor, I should know how to cure it. But I don't want to be cured. I want to be consumed. I carefully fold the clipping and return it to its hiding place. In 6 hours, I have a shift at County General. I'll put on my white coat, become Dr. Cale Morrison, the brilliant, composed ER surgeon who'd earned his reputation through precision and ice-cold calm. And no one will know that beneath the professional exterior, I'm just a man hopelessly, pathetically in love with someone who doesn't know I exist. The ER at 2 a.m. is a symphony of controlled chaos. The fluorescent lights hum with a sterile, flickering energy. Somewhere in Bay 3, a drunk driver is demanding to be released. In Bay 5, a teenager with a broken arm from skateboarding is trying not to cry in front of his friends. I was finishing a chart, my fingers steady on the keyboard, my face the mask of Dr. Cale, the brilliant, unshakable surgeon who'd earned his reputation through precision and ice-cold calm. Then the red phone rang. Every doctor knows that sound. It's the sound of someone's world ending, the sound of fate calling collect. I picked up. Dr. Morrison. Multiple trauma coming in. The dispatcher's voice crackled through the line. 3-alarm warehouse fire on Industrial Boulevard. We have a firefighter down. Severe burns covering approximately 30% of his body, smoke inhalation, crush injuries to the lower extremities, possible internal bleeding. ETA 3 minutes. My heart didn't just skip a beat, it stopped. Professional. Stay professional. Copy. What's the patient's name? There was a pause. Paper rustling. Caleb Vance, age 29. He's one of ours, Station 12. The world tilted sideways. The phone slipped from my fingers. I caught it before it hit the floor, muscle memory saving me from complete collapse. But inside, I was screaming. The fluorescent light suddenly felt too bright. The sterile smell of the hospital was replaced by a phantom scent of burning rubber and ash. Not him. Please, God, not him. Dr. Morrison? Doctor, did you copy? Copy. My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. Prep Trauma 1. I want a full burn team standing by. Get me saline, plasma, and make sure we have O-positive blood ready, at least 6 units. I hung up. My hands were shaking, actually shaking, something that hadn't happened since my first year of residency. Move, I commanded myself. You have 3 minutes to pull yourself together. 3 minutes before the man you've spent 2 years obsessing over comes through those doors, and you need to save his life. I scrubbed my hands viciously, the hot water turning my skin pink. I stared at myself in the mirror. Green eyes, dark hair falling across my forehead, a face that patients called trustworthy and kind. But right now, I looked terrified. You can do this, I whispered to my reflection. You don't get to fall apart, not when he needs you. The bay doors burst open. The sound of the gurney's wheels screaming against the linoleum was deafening. A swarm of paramedics pushed through. I counted 4 of them, all looking grim, and there, in the center of the storm, was the man from my drawer. But the hero was gone.
His turnout gear was shredded and blackened, hanging off his body in burnt tatters. His beautiful, sun-kissed skin, the skin I'd memorized from photographs, was angry red and weeping, blistered and raw. His hair, usually golden brown and perfectly tousled, was singed short on one side. His eyes, those bright, courageous eyes that haunted my dreams, were rolled back into his head, only the whites showing. "Vitals are dropping," Sarah, my best trauma nurse, screamed. "BP is 70/40 and falling, heart rate 140, oxygen saturation at 78%. Doctor, we're losing him!" I froze. For 3 seconds, 3 eternal seconds, I wasn't a surgeon. I wasn't Dr. Cale Morrison, the man who'd saved hundreds of lives with steady hands and steadier nerves. I was just the boy with the hidden clippings, watching his entire world go up in flames on a gurney in front of him. He's dying. The man you love is dying. "Move, Cale!" I screamed at myself internally. "If you don't move, he dies. If you freeze, you'll lose him before you ever had him." I stepped forward. I placed my hands on his chest, the same chest I had traced in photos 1,000 times, imagining what it would feel like beneath my palms. It was hot, too hot, the heat of the fire still trapped beneath his damaged skin. But he was real, solid, alive. "Intubate him now," I barked, my professional mask snapping back into place, though my soul was weeping. "Get me a central line. Push 2 liters of saline wide open. I want a chest x-ray and a full trauma panel. Sarah, call down to the burn unit and tell them we're coming up. We are not losing this man. Not tonight, not ever." The team moved like a well-oiled machine. I'd trained them well. I cut away what remained of his gear, exposing the full extent of the damage. 2nd-degree burns across his chest and arms, 3rd degree on his left shoulder. His legs were crushed beneath the knees. A beam must have fallen on him. "Caleb," I whispered, so quietly that no one else could hear. "I've got you, I promise. Just hold on." His lips were cracked and bloody, but as I leaned over him, inserting the breathing tube with practiced precision, I could have sworn, just for a fraction of a second, his eyelids fluttered. Like some part of him knew I was there. 10 days later. The ICU is a tomb of beeps and mechanical sighs. Machines breathe for people who can't. Monitors count heartbeats like a morbid metronome. I am standing at the foot of his bed. Present tense. I am looking at what's left of the county's golden boy. Caleb is wrapped in white gauze like a broken mummy, his muscular frame diminished by pain and medication. The ventilator was removed 3 days ago. His lungs had healed enough to breathe on his own, but the man who woke up wasn't the man from the newspapers. He's staring at the ceiling, his gaze hollow and empty. He hasn't spoken more than a few words since regaining consciousness. The psychiatrist says it's depression, common in severe trauma cases. I say it's a man who's lost his reason to fight. "Caleb?" I whisper, moving to his bedside. He doesn't turn, doesn't acknowledge me. His voice, when it comes, is a sandpaper rasp, roughened by the breathing tube and smoke damage. "Why did you save me, Doc?" The question hits me like a physical blow. "What?" "Look at me." He still won't meet my eyes. "I'm a monster. I can't breathe without it hurting. I can't walk. My legs are—" He trails off, his jaw clenching. "I'm nothing. You should have let me go." "You are Caleb Vance," I say, and I can't keep the tremor out of my voice. I want to reach out. I want to tell him I have his photos. I want to tell him he's still the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, even now, even broken. "You saved 4 people from that fire before the building collapsed. 4 people are alive because of you. You're a hero." "A hero who can't even go to the bathroom by himself?" He lets out a bitter, jagged laugh that turns into a cough. His whole body convulses with it. "Just let me go. I don't want to be a burden." I grab his hand before I can stop myself. His fingers are warm, calloused, exactly how I'd imagined them. "You aren't a burden to me." He finally looks at me, really looks at me. His eyes, blue-gray like a storm rolling in, search my face. "Why do you care so much?" "Because I've been in love with you for 2 years. Because I know your favorite coffee order from an interview you did. Because I've dreamed of you every night and woken up aching. Because you're everything I'm not, brave and selfless and good, and I'd burn the whole world down if it meant keeping you alive." "Because that's my job," I lie, "and I'm very good at my job." His hand twitches in mine. For a moment, I think he's going to pull away, but he doesn't. He holds on, his grip weak but deliberate. "Stay," he rasps, "just for a bit." "I'm not going anywhere, I promise, and I mean it." 3 weeks post-admission. I am making sure I'm the only one who touches him. It started subtly. I began taking double shifts, arranging my schedule so that I was always on duty during Caleb's physical therapy sessions. I personally handled his dressing changes, even though the burn unit nurses were perfectly qualified. When questioned, I told the staff I was monitoring a complex case and ensuring continuity of care. The truth was simpler and more selfish. I couldn't stand the thought of anyone else seeing him this vulnerable. This was mine. These quiet moments when the hero facade was gone and he was just Caleb, struggling and hurting and trying to find a reason to heal. One afternoon, I was checking his vitals. Caleb was sitting up in bed, his upper body strength returning through sheer stubborn will. His legs were still weak. The orthopedic team said it would be months before he could walk without assistance, but he could hold himself upright now. Progress. Beautiful, hard-won progress. "You're always here, Cale," he said softly. He'd started using my first name 2 weeks ago, after I'd spent an entire night sitting beside his bed when the nightmares got bad. When he'd woken up screaming, reliving the moment the warehouse ceiling collapsed on him, I'd held his hand and talked him through it, told him where he was, reminded him he was safe. After that, I was Cale, not Dr. Morrison, not Doc, just Cale. "I like to be thorough," I replied, focusing on the blood pressure cuff wrapped around his bicep. Even injured, his arms were impressive, the kind of strength that came from years of carrying equipment and people to safety. "Stop it," I scolded myself. "Professional thoughts only." I leaned over him to check his pupils with my penlight, a routine neuro exam I'd done 1,000 times on 1,000 patients. "Follow the light with your eyes. Don't move your head." Our faces were inches apart. I could see the golden flecks in his blue-gray eyes, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. I could smell the clean, medicinal scent of the antibacterial soap I'd used to wash him earlier, a task I'd insisted on doing myself. His breath was warm against my face. Caleb's breath hitched. A faint, dusty pink crept up his neck, spreading over the edges of his healing scars, and bloomed across his cheeks. He was blushing. "Your heart rate is spiking," I noted clinically, even though my own pulse was racing. The monitor beside his bed was beeping faster. "Are you in pain? Do you need—" "Maybe it's because my doctor is too handsome," he muttered, looking away quickly, the blush deepening to crimson. I froze. The penlight trembled in my hand. "What?" "Nothing. Forget it. The meds make me say stupid things." He was staring determinedly at the wall now, his jaw tight with embarrassment. But I'd heard him, and the way my heart was currently trying to break through my rib cage meant I couldn't forget it, wouldn't forget it. The hero of the county, the man loved by everyone, the man whose smile made women swoon and men want to be his friend, was blushing for me. "The meds don't cause verbal disinhibition," I said quietly. "I prescribed them. I know the side effects." His eyes snapped back to mine, caught. "Then maybe," he said, his voice rough with something that wasn't pain. I meant it. The air in the room changed. It was no longer sterile, no longer simply a patient and a doctor. It was two men trapped in a space too small for all the unspoken words hanging between us. I am terrified. I am exhilarated. I am falling apart and pulling myself together simultaneously. "I look forward to your rounds," Caleb confessed, his voice low and earnest. "The nights are long, they're dark, and I can't stop thinking about the fire, about the screaming, about how I couldn't save Tommy. He was right there, and I couldn't." His voice cracked. "But when I see your coat in the hallway, when I hear your footsteps, I feel like I can breathe again. You make the darkness smaller." Something inside my chest cracked open. All the careful walls I'd built, all the professional distance I'd maintained, it was crumbling. "I look forward to them too," I whispered. "More than you know." I reached out, my fingers grazing the skin of his forearm that wasn't covered in bandages. The touch was feather-light, barely there, but Caleb gasped like I'd burned him. He didn't pull away. Instead, he leaned into my touch, his eyes falling closed, a soft sigh escaping his lips that sounded almost like relief. "Cale," he breathed my name like a prayer. I knew then. He wasn't just recovering his body in this hospital room, he was giving me his heart, piece by fragile piece, trusting me to handle it with care. And God help me, I was going to cherish every single fragment. 4 weeks post-admission. I am losing my mind. The professional distance I've maintained for 2 years, the careful separation between Dr. Cale Morrison and the man who collects newspaper clippings like a lovesick teenager is disintegrating. Every time I walk into Caleb's room, the boundary gets thinner. Every time he says my name, it erodes a little more. Tonight, I'm doing his dressing change. It's late, past midnight, and the ICU is quiet, except for the rhythmic beeping of monitors and the soft shuffle of nurses making their rounds. Caleb is sitting up in bed, shirtless, his torso a roadmap of healing burns and new skin. The worst of the damage is on his left shoulder and upper chest, angry pink scars that will fade to silver with time. He's been staring at them in the mirror lately when he thinks no one is watching, his expression unreadable. "This is going to sting," I warn him, preparing the antiseptic solution. "I know the drill, Doc." "Cale." He corrects himself quickly, then gives me a small, tired smile. "Still getting used to calling you that." "You can call me whatever makes you comfortable." I begin gently cleaning the edges of his shoulder wound, my gloved fingers careful and precise. He winces but doesn't pull away. "Does it disgust you, looking at me like this?" The question stops me cold. "What? No. Caleb, why would you—" "Because I disgust myself." His voice is flat, matter of fact, which somehow makes it worse. "I used to be, I don't know, whole? Now I'm just this patchwork thing. The press used to call me the golden boy. What are they going to call me now? The broken one?" I set down the antiseptic and moved to stand directly in front of him, forcing him to look at me. "You want to know what I see when I look at you?" "Damaged goods," he mutters. "I see a man who ran into a burning building when everyone else was running out. I see someone who carried 4 people to safety before the ceiling collapsed. I see courage." My hand hovers over his chest, just above his heart, not quite touching. "I see strength. I see someone who's fighting every single day to heal, even when he doesn't want to. That's not broken, Caleb. That's extraordinary." His eyes are shining, not quite tears, but close. "You really mean that?" Every word. I see the man I've been in love with for 2 years. I see someone even more beautiful now because I know the heart beneath the scars. He catches my wrist, his grip surprisingly strong. "Why are you so good to me?" "Because—" The words stick in my throat. "Because I've memorized every article written about you. Because I have dreams about you that would make me blush in daylight. Because you're the first thing I think about when I wake up and the last thing before I sleep." "Because," he prompts, his thumb brushing against my pulse point. Can he feel how fast my heart is racing? "Because you deserve it," I finish lamely. He doesn't let go of my wrist. Instead, he tugs gently, pulling me closer until I'm standing between his knees, our faces level. The hospital bed puts me at exactly my height when he's sitting. "I think," he says slowly, his eyes searching mine, "there's more to it than that. I am going to combust. I'm going to dissolve. I'm going to confess everything and ruin this fragile thing growing between us. Caleb, I catch you staring sometimes," he continues, his voice soft but certain. "When you think I'm asleep, you look at me like I'm something precious, not just a patient, something more." My throat is desert dry. "You were unconscious. You couldn't have—" "I'm a light sleeper now. The nightmares, you know?" His smile is sad. "I've been awake for your 2 a.m. checks more often than you think. And Cale, the way you look at me—" He pauses, his grip on my wrist tightening almost imperceptibly. "Nobody's ever looked at me like that before." "Like what?" I managed to whisper. "Like you already knew me. Before the fire, before any of this." His free hand gestures at the hospital room, at his scarred body. "Like you've been waiting for me." Oh, God. Oh, God, he knows. He can't know. Can he? That's— I should pull away. I should maintain professional boundaries. I should do 1,000 things that aren't standing here drowning in his storm cloud eyes. "That's a very astute observation for someone on pain medication." He laughs, a real laugh this time, not the bitter sound from before. "I'm not on the heavy stuff anymore, remember? You tapered me down last week, said I was healing faster than expected." His thumb is still tracing circles on my wrist, and I'm certain he can feel my pulse hammering. "So, I'm completely clear-headed when I say this. I think about you all the time, Cale. I know it's probably the trauma talking, or transference, or whatever the psychiatrist called it, but I can't help it. You're the only good thing in my day." "Caleb, you don't know what you're saying." "Don't I?" He pulls me even closer, until our foreheads are almost touching. "I know I look forward to your rounds like a kid waiting for Christmas. I know I pretend to be asleep sometimes just so you'll check on me in the middle of the night. I know that when you smile, really smile, not the doctor smile you give everyone else, my whole day gets brighter." He takes a shaky breath. "I know I'm falling for my doctor, which is probably the most cliché thing in the world, but I don't care. This is not happening. This is a dream. I'm going to wake up in my apartment with ruined sheets and the crushing disappointment of reality." "You don't know me," I protest weakly. "Not really." "Then let me." His eyes are pleading now. "Let me know you, the real you. Not Dr. Morrison, who saves lives and never shows emotion. I want to know Cale, the man who sits by my bed reading medical journals at 3 a.m., the man who brings me coffee from that specific shop on 5th Street because he somehow knew it was my favorite." My stomach drops. "How did you—" "I mentioned it once, weeks ago, barely conscious, probably rambling about random things. But you remembered." His smile is gentle, understanding, terrifying in its perception. You remember everything I say, don't you? Abort! Abort! This is spiraling out of control. I'm your doctor. It's my job to know that I take my coffee black with 2 sugars, to remember that I hate grape-flavored anything when you were choosing my electrolyte drinks, to notice that I sleep better when the blinds are closed, but not completely, because total darkness makes the nightmares worse. He's ticking items off on his fingers now, each one a small exposure of how much attention I've been paying. Those aren't doctor things, Kale. Those are someone who cares things. I should deny it. I should maintain the lie. But I'm so tired of hiding. Yes, I admit, the word barely audible. I care. More than I should. The smile that breaks across his face is sunrise after a long night. Good, because I was starting to think I was crazy for hoping you felt the same way. The same night, an hour later. I finished the dressing change in silence, a charged electric silence that made my hands tremble slightly as I applied the final bandage. Caleb watched me the entire time, his gaze intense and unwavering, like he was memorizing my face. I should go, I said, when I was done, stripping off my gloves. It's late, and you need rest. Stay! His hand shot out, catching mine before I could step away. Please, just a little longer. I am not strong enough to refuse him. I should cite hospital policy. I should mention professional ethics. I should do the responsible thing. Instead, I pull a chair close to his bedside and sit, our hands still connected. I can't sleep anyway, he admits. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back in that warehouse. I hear the screams, feel the heat, see the ceiling coming down. His grip tightens on my hand. But when you're here, it's quieter. The memories don't scream as loud. Have you talked to Dr. Chen about this? She's an excellent trauma counselor. I talk to her twice a week. He interrupts. She's helping. But Kale, she's not. He trails off, then tries again. You make me want to get better, not just physically. You make me want to be whole again, so that maybe I could be someone worthy of the way you look at me. My heart clenches. You don't need to be anything other than what you are. A broken firefighter who can't even walk to the bathroom? The bitterness is creeping back into his voice. A survivor, a hero, a man who's stronger than he knows. I lean forward, my free hand coming up to cup his cheek before I can think better of it. The scars beneath my palm are rough, but warm, alive. You're already worthy, Caleb. You always have been. His eyes flutter closed at my touch, and he turns his face into my palm, his lips brushing against my skin in a gesture so tender it nearly breaks me. Kale, he breathes against my hand. God, I don't even know what I need. I just know that I need you. This is the moment where I either pull back and maintain the lie, or I step forward into the terrifying honesty of what I feel. I'm here, I whisper. I'm right here. He opens his eyes, and the vulnerability in them nearly destroys me. Is it okay if I... He doesn't finish the question, but I understand. He's asking permission, asking if it's okay to want this, to want me. Yes, I answer, though I'm not entirely sure what I'm agreeing to. Caleb leans forward, moving slowly, giving me every opportunity to pull away. His hand comes up to mirror mine, cupping my face with a gentleness that seems impossible for hands that regularly wield axes and tear through debris. And then he kisses me. It's soft, hesitant, a question more than a statement. His lips are slightly chapped from the dry hospital air, and he tastes faintly of the mint toothpaste I brought him last week because the hospital's brand made him nauseous. I have imagined this moment 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways, but none of my fantasies came close to the reality. I kiss him back, careful and controlled, hyper-aware that he's still healing, still fragile despite his strength. My hand slides from his cheek to the back of his neck, fingers threading through the hair that's finally growing back where it was singed. He makes a small sound, half gasp, half sigh, and deepens the kiss just slightly. Not demanding, but hopeful. His tongue brushes against my lower lip, and I open for him, letting him in, letting this happen. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. Caleb's cheeks are flushed, his eyes bright with something that looks like joy. "I've wanted to do that since the day I woke up and saw you standing over me," he confesses. "Is that weird, that the first thing I thought when I woke up from a coma was, my doctor is beautiful?" I laugh, actually laugh, something I haven't done in weeks. Maybe a little, but I'm not complaining. Good. He rests his forehead against mine, and we sit like that for a long moment, just breathing together. Because I plan on doing it again. A lot, if that's okay. It's more than okay. It's everything. It's the answer to 2 years of silent longing. It's the dream I never let myself believe could be real. A knock on the door makes us spring apart like guilty teenagers. Sarah, the night nurse, pokes her head in. "Dr. Morrison, sorry to interrupt, but we have an incoming trauma." "I'll be right there." My professional voice snaps back into place, but when I look at Caleb, I can't help but smile. "I have to go." "I know." He's smiling too, a real, genuine smile that transforms his entire face. "But you'll come back?" "Always," I promise. And I mean it. 6 weeks post-admission. Things change after that kiss. Not drastically. We're still careful, still aware that we're navigating complicated ethical territory, but there's a lightness in Caleb now that wasn't there before. He engages with his physical therapy, he makes jokes with the nurses, he's starting to look like himself again. And every time I walk into his room, he blushes. It's become my favorite thing in the world. "Good morning, Caleb," I say, entering for morning rounds. Pink spreads across his cheeks immediately. "Morning, Cale." The other residents I'm training notice. Dr. Yuki, a sharp-eyed second year, raises an eyebrow at me when we leave Caleb's room. "So, you and the firefighter seem close." "He's responding well to consistent care," I reply neutrally. "Uh-huh, is that what we're calling it?" But she's smiling, not accusatory. For what it's worth, I think it's sweet. He lights up like a Christmas tree when you walk in. "Focus on the chart, Dr. Yuki." "Yes, sir." She's still grinning. Later that afternoon, I returned to Caleb's room to find him in the chair by the window, a huge victory. He's been working on building strength in his legs, and sitting up for extended periods is progress. "Look at you. You're getting stronger every day." He turns to face me, and that blush appears again, climbing up his neck. "I had motivation, wanted to be sitting up when you came by, more dignified than lying in bed like an invalid." "You're not an invalid." I move closer, checking the monitors out of habit, even though I'm really just looking for an excuse to be near him. "You're rehabilitating remarkably well, actually. Dr. Patel thinks you might be ready to transfer to the rehabilitation wing next week." His face falls. "Transfer? Does that mean you won't be my doctor anymore?" "I'm a trauma surgeon. Once you're stabilized, you move to specialized rehab." I keep my professional voice, but inside, my heart is breaking at the same realization. "I don't want a different doctor." His voice is quiet, but firm. "I want you." "I'll be visiting, I promise," kneeling beside his chair so we're eye level. "Promise?" He holds out his pinky finger, and the gesture is so unexpectedly childish and sweet that I can't help but smile. "Promise." I link my pinky with his. He uses the grip to pull me closer, glancing at the door to make sure it's closed before pressing a quick, soft kiss to my lips. "I'm going to miss having you hover over me every 4 hours, he murmurs against my mouth. "I don't hover, I perform thorough medical assessments." "You hover." Another kiss. And I love it. I am going to die. This man is going to kill me with sweetness. "Caleb, if someone walks in, let them." But he pulls back anyway, that blush deepening. "Sorry, I know we have to be careful, I can't help myself around you." The feeling is mutual. I stand, putting proper distance between us even though every instinct screams to do the opposite. Which is why we need to be smart about this, at least until you're discharged and I'm no longer your attending physician. And after that, his eyes are hopeful, vulnerable. After that, I say slowly. We figure out what this is. Together. His smile could power the entire hospital. I'd like that. 7 weeks post-admission, late night. The call comes at 1:47 a.m. I'm not even on duty. I'm at home, supposedly sleeping, but Caleb's name on my phone screen has me answering before the second ring. Cale? His voice is wrecked, shaking. I'm sorry, I know you're not working tonight, but I didn't know who else to call and... What's wrong? Are you hurt? Is it your legs? I'm already grabbing my keys, heading for the door. No, I can't. The nightmares won't stop and I can't breathe right, and I know I'm being pathetic, but everything feels wrong and... I'm on my way. 10 minutes. I'm in my car, engine already running. Stay on the phone with me. Can you do that? Yeah, okay. I hear him trying to regulate his breathing, fighting against a panic attack. Tell me where you are right now. Describe what you see. I'm in my room, the ICU. There's the window. The moon is out. It's bright. Good. That's good. What else? The monitors. They're beeping. It's steady. Normal. His breathing is slowing slightly. There's the chair you always sit in. Your coffee cup is still there from this afternoon. Focus on that. You're safe. You're in the hospital. The fire was 7 weeks ago. You survived. I'm breaking several traffic laws getting to County General, but I don't care. By the time I reach his room, he's calmer but still trembling. He's sitting up in bed, his hospital gown soaked with sweat, his eyes wide and haunted. Hey, I say softly, closing the door behind me. I'm here. You came. He sounds amazed, like he didn't actually expect me to show up. Of course I came. I move to his bedside, and without thinking, without caring about protocols or boundaries, I sit on the edge of his bed and pull him into my arms. He collapses against me, his face buried in my shoulder, his whole body shaking. He's not crying, not quite, but he's close. I was back there, in the warehouse. I could hear Tommy screaming and I couldn't reach him. The smoke was everywhere, and the heat, and I knew the ceiling was coming down, but I couldn't move fast enough. And then I was trapped, and I couldn't breathe, and... Shh. You're okay. You're safe. I run my hand through his hair, the same soothing motion I've watched nurses use on distressed patients. But this is different. This is personal. This is... personal. Tommy made it out. You got him out before the collapse. He's alive because of you. But in the dream, he dies. Every time. And it's my fault. It's not your fault. None of it was your fault. I pull back just enough to look at him. His eyes are red-rimmed, exhausted. You're a hero, Caleb. You saved lives. The fact that you're traumatized by what happened doesn't change that. I don't feel like a hero. I feel broken. Then let me help you heal. I cup his face in my hands, thumbs brushing away the moisture at the corners of his eyes. You don't have to be strong all the time. Not with me. Something in him breaks open at those words. The tears come then, silent and steady, tracking down his cheeks. I hold him through it, letting him release weeks of pent-up fear and pain and trauma. When he finally quiets, he doesn't pull away. Instead, he stays curled against my chest, my arms around him, and whispers, "Stay? Until I fall asleep? I'll stay as long as you need." I end up lying beside him on the narrow hospital bed, his head on my chest, my hand stroking his back in slow, soothing circles. It's completely unprofessional. It would probably get me reported if anyone saw us. I don't care. "Cale," he murmurs, half asleep. "Yeah?" "Thank you for seeing me. The real me. Not the hero everyone else wants me to be." "I see you. I've always seen you. Even before the fire, I saw the man beneath the uniform." "You don't have to thank me for that," I whisper. His breathing evens out, and within minutes, he's asleep. Real asleep, not the fitful, nightmare-plagued kind. I should get up. I should go home. Instead, I stay exactly where I am, holding the man I love, and for the first time in 7 weeks, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, this could actually work. 8 weeks post-admission. The rehabilitation wing smelled different from the ICU, less antiseptic, more like hope. Physical therapy equipment lined the walls, parallel bars, resistance bands, medicine balls. It was designed to look less like a hospital and more like a gym, but I could still see the medical underpinnings beneath the cheerful paint. Caleb's new room had a window that faced the garden. Sunlight poured through the glass, catching the gold in his hair that was finally growing back properly. "So this is it," he said, looking around. "My new home for the next month." 6 weeks, actually. I set down the tablet I've been carrying. Dr. Patel is optimistic. She thinks, with your progress, you'll be walking independently by then. "Walking," he said, like he didn't quite believe it. "Feels impossible."
3 months ago, we didn't know if you'd survive. Now look at you. I gestured at him sitting upright, no longer connected to a dozen machines. You're already doing the impossible. He reached for my hand, and I let him take it, even though we were technically in a semi-public space. I couldn't have done it without you. You did the work. You gave me a reason. His thumb traced circles on my palm. Every time I wanted to quit, every time the pain was too much, I thought about you walking through that door, about your smile when I hit a new milestone, about— He paused, that beautiful blush creeping up his neck. About what happens when I get out of here. My heart stuttered. What do you think happens? I'm hoping, he said carefully, his eyes locked on mine, that you'll let me take you to dinner. A real date, not in a hospital cafeteria, somewhere with candles and actual food that doesn't come on a plastic tray. I couldn't help but smile. That sounds— Dr. Morrison, a voice interrupted from the doorway. Dr. Patel, Caleb's new primary physician, stood there with a knowing smile. Sorry to interrupt, but I need to go over Caleb's therapy schedule with both of you. I stepped back professionally, but not before Caleb squeezed my hand one last time. Over the next hour, Dr. Patel outlined an aggressive but achievable rehabilitation plan: water therapy, strength training, occupational therapy to regain fine motor skills in his hands. Caleb listened intently, asking intelligent questions, and I felt a surge of pride watching him take control of his recovery. I'll leave you two alone, Dr. Patel said, eventually, heading for the door. She paused, glancing back at me with a subtle smile. Dr. Morrison, you're welcome to visit any time. I think consistent support systems are crucial for recovery. The door closed behind her. She knows, Caleb said immediately. She suspects. I moved back to his bedside. Dr. Patel is exceptionally perceptive. Is that going to be a problem for you, professionally? I considered the question. Technically, now that he was no longer my patient, the ethical concerns were minimal, still complicated but not forbidden. No, not anymore. His face lit up. Really? Really. I sat on the edge of his bed, allowing myself the closeness I'd been carefully rationing. You're not my patient anymore, Caleb. You're Dr. Patel's patient. I'm just someone who cares about you. Someone who cares? He repeated, reaching up to cup my face. Is that all you are to me? How do I tell him? How do I explain that he's been the center of my universe for 2 years? You're everything, I whispered, the confession spilling out before I could stop it. You've been everything for longer than you know. His eyes widened. What do you mean? I mean, I've known who you were long before the fire. I've watched you on the news, read articles about your rescues. You were this untouchable hero, and I was just someone who admired you from a distance. Cale, let me finish. My hand covered his where it rested against my cheek. When they brought you in that night, broken and burned, I thought my world was ending because the man I'd been secretly fascinated by for so long was dying in front of me, and I realized that admiring you from afar wasn't enough. I needed you to survive. I needed the chance to know you, really know you, not just the hero in the newspapers. Tears were sliding down his cheeks now. You really mean that? Every word. I brushed away his tears with my thumb. These past 2 months, getting to know the real you, the man who makes terrible jokes at 3 a.m., who worries about his team more than himself, who's terrified of grape-flavored anything, it's been the greatest privilege of my life. He pulled me down into a kiss that tasted like salt and hope. His hands threaded through my hair, and I let myself sink into him, into this moment where nothing else existed except us. "I'm gonna work so hard," he murmured against my lips. "I'm gonna get strong again, and then I'm gonna take you on that date and 100 more after that, and I'm gonna spend every single one of them showing you that you didn't just save my life, you gave me a reason to want to live it." 10 weeks post-admission. I watched through the observation window as Caleb took his first steps on the parallel bars. His physical therapist, Marcus, stood beside him, spotting but not touching. Caleb's face was set in determination, sweat beading on his forehead as he forced his legs to remember how to work. "Come on, Vance, 5 more steps. You've got this." Caleb's left leg trembled, threatening to give out. I pressed my hand against the glass unconsciously, as if I could somehow lend him strength through sheer will. He made it to the end of the bars. "Yes!" Marcus clapped him on the shoulder. "That's what I'm talking about. You just walked 15 feet. Caleb looked up, his eyes finding mine through the window. The smile that broke across his face was pure sunshine, and I couldn't help but smile back, giving him a thumbs up. After the session, I met him in his room. He was exhausted but glowing with pride. "Did you see? 15 feet!" "I saw. I checked his vitals out of habit. Some things never change." "How does it feel?" "Like I just climbed a mountain. But Cale, I walked. I actually walked." He grabbed my hand, pulling me closer with more strength than he had in weeks. "I'm getting there. I'm getting back to myself." "You're exceeding every projection." I ran my fingers through his hair, a gesture that had become natural between us. "Dr. Patel thinks you might be discharged in 3 weeks instead of 6. His expression turned serious. "And then what?" "Then we figure out what us looks like outside these walls, if you still want to."
He looked at me like I'd said something absurd. "Cale, I've spent the last 2 months falling in love with you. Why would I stop now?" The words hit me like a physical force. "Love?" "Love," he confirmed, no hesitation in his voice. "I love you. I love the way you check on me even when you're not working. I love how you brought me coffee from that shop across town because you noticed it made me smile. I love how you hold my hand during the nightmares. I love—" His voice cracked slightly. "I love that you see me. Not the hero, not the patient, just me." I couldn't speak. The words I'd kept locked inside for 2 years were trying to claw their way out. "You don't have to say it back," he added quickly. "I know this is complicated, and maybe it's too soon, but I needed you to know. I love you too." The confession burst free, unstoppable. "God, Caleb, I've loved you for so long. Even before I knew you, I loved the idea of you. And now that I know the real you, I'm completely, hopelessly, utterly in love with you." He kissed me then, deep and slow and perfect. His hands cradled my face like I was something precious, and I melted into him, into this impossible, beautiful thing growing between us. 3 more weeks, he whispered against my lips. "And then you're taking me on that date." "Actually, I believe you're the one who promised to take me on a date." "Right, yes, I did say that." His blush was back, and it was still my favorite thing. "Though I should warn you, I'm probably going to need a cane, and I might get tired easily, and I definitely can't do anything too strenuous." "Caleb," I pressed a finger to his lips. "I don't care if we just sit in a coffee shop and talk for hours. I don't care if we have to take breaks. I just want to be with you, wherever, however." His eyes shimmered. "How did I get so lucky? I almost died, and somehow I ended up with you." "I'm the lucky one." I kissed his forehead, his cheeks, the tip of his nose. "You gave me something I never thought I'd have, a chance to know the man behind the hero, and he's even more amazing than I imagined." 11 weeks post-admission. The day Caleb was discharged, the entire fire station showed up. I watched from the nurses' station as his crew filled the hallway, burly men and women in department t-shirts, carrying balloons and flowers and a massive banner that read, "Welcome back, Golden Boy."
Tommy, the firefighter Caleb had saved, was at the front of the group. When he saw Caleb walking, actually walking, with just a cane for support, his face crumpled and he pulled Caleb into a crushing hug. "You saved my life, man! You saved my life!" "We're even now," he replied, his voice thick. "You guys kept me going in there." I stayed back, giving him space for this reunion. This was his world, his family. I was just... "Cale," Caleb called out, gesturing me over. "Come here." I approached hesitantly, aware of all the eyes on me. Caleb reached out and took my hand, pulling me to his side without any shame or hesitation. "Everyone, this is Dr. Cale Morrison. He's the reason I'm standing here. He's the reason for a lot of things." The crew understood immediately. I saw the knowing glances, the subtle smiles, but there was no judgment, only acceptance. "Well, Doc," a woman I recognized as Captain Torres said, extending her hand, "thank you for bringing our boy back to us. You're welcome at the station any time." "Thank you, Captain." "And Caleb?" She fixed him with a stern look that couldn't quite hide her affection. "You take your time healing. No rushing back before you're ready." "Yes, ma'am." After the crew left, after the final paperwork was signed and the discharge instructions given, it was just Caleb and me in the empty room. "So, this is it," he said, looking around at the space that had been his home for nearly 3 months. "Freedom. How does it feel?" "Terrifying, exciting, overwhelming." He turned to me. "Real." I helped him gather his belongings, not that there was much. Some clothes his sister had brought, the get well cards that covered every surface, a sketchbook where he'd been documenting his recovery and drawings. "I'm scared," he admitted quietly as we walked toward the exit. "What if I can't do it? What if I can't be the firefighter I was?" "Then you'll be a different kind of firefighter, or maybe you'll be something entirely else. But whatever you become, you'll still be Caleb, and that's more than enough." We reached the entrance to the hospital. Sunlight poured through the glass doors, real sunlight, not filtered through hospital windows. Caleb paused at the threshold. "Will you..." He looked at me, vulnerable. "Will you come with me? Just for today? I don't want to be alone yet." "I have the next 3 days off," I said softly. "I'm yours for as long as you need me." "I'm going to hold you to that, forever, if you'll let me." We stepped through the doors together, into the sunshine, into the beginning of whatever came next. And for the first time in 2 years, the fantasy I'd carried in my bedside drawer felt less important than the reality of his hand in mine.
Epilogue. 6 months later. The coffee shop on 5th Street was exactly as I'd imagined it. Warm lighting, soft music, the smell of fresh espresso filling the air. Caleb sat across from me, no cane in sight. He'd worked tirelessly through physical therapy, and last month he'd been cleared to return to light duty at the station. Not firefighting yet, that would take more time, but training recruits, doing safety inspections, being part of the family he'd missed so desperately. "You're staring," he said, a smile playing at his lips. "I'm allowed to stare. You're beautiful." That blush I loved appeared right on schedule. "You can't just say things like that in public." "Why not? It's true." I reached across the table, lacing our fingers together. "Besides, I've been wanting to tell you that for 2 years. I'm making up for lost time." 2 years, he repeated, shaking his head in wonder. "I still can't believe you noticed me before everything." "I more than noticed you. I was obsessed. I probably should have been embarrassed by the admission, but I wasn't. Not anymore. I had newspaper clippings, photos. I knew your schedule, your favorite foods, everything the press reported about you." "That should probably concern me," he teased, "but instead, I just find it incredibly romantic." "You find stalking romantic?" "You find me romantic." He squeezed my hand. "You loved me before you knew me, and then you loved me enough to save my life. And then you loved me when I was broken and angry and convinced I had nothing left to offer. How could I not find that romantic?" My throat tightened with emotion. "You were never broken, just healing. Because of you." He brought my hand to his lips, pressing a soft kiss to my knuckles. "Everything good in my life right now is because of you." "That's not true." "It is." His eyes were fierce now, intense.
You gave me hope when I had none. You made me want to fight. You showed me that there was life after trauma, that I could be more than just the sum of my scars." He paused, taking a shaky breath. "Cale, you saved me in every way a person can be saved." I had to look away, blinking back tears. "You saved me too, you know. You took my carefully controlled life and turned it upside down. You made me feel things I'd only dreamed about. You made the fantasy real." "Good." He stood, moving around the table to sit beside me in the booth instead of across from me. "Because I plan on spending the rest of my life making sure you never regret taking a chance on a broken firefighter." "Not broken," I corrected, leaning into his warmth. "Healing. There's a difference." He kissed me then, soft and sweet and full of promise. Around us, the coffee shop continued its evening rhythm, but we existed in our own bubble, two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way. "I love you," he murmured against my lips. "I love you too." I pulled back just enough to see his face, to memorize this moment. Always. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Inside, surrounded by the smell of coffee and the warmth of the man I loved, I finally understood what it meant to be truly, completely happy. The newspaper clippings were still in my bedside drawer, but now, next to them, there were new memories. Photos of us together, movie ticket stubs, a pressed flower from our first real date. The fantasy was becoming reality, and reality was so much better than anything I could have imagined. Caleb's hand found mine again, our fingers intertwining like they were always meant to. And in that small coffee shop on 5th Street, with the man I'd loved from afar finally sitting beside me, I knew that every moment, the dreams, the longing, the fear, the hope, had led us exactly where we were supposed to be. Together. The end.